What about the quality of that information, especially the one that comes from official bodies who should be officially tasked with giving us that information? Well, this is just another way of getting to the shit show. In other words, it's a thing that I can't help addressing because, the art movement is my little radio show, but it does revolve around art and culture and thoughts. Now, it's something that also says a lot about the world that we live in today. An article published on the June 14 Singapore Sunday Times revealed the results of a commissioned survey on people's perceptions of essential jobs within the context of a pandemic. Results were collated from the responses of around 1,000 participants aged 16 and above, with a nationally representative sampling across age, gender and income groups, and it was carried out by a Singapore-based consumer research firm. The top 5 jobs Singaporeans believed to be the most essentials were obviously doctors and nurses, cleaners, garbage collectors, hawkers. I didn't even know what that was, but I am ignorant, and I'll admit it. I don't know almost anything. And delivery men. But the 5 non-essential jobs were, and I'm going to do a little countdown. At number 5, human resource manager. At number 4, business consultant. At number 3, social media manager and PR specialist. At number 2, telemarketer. And you know where this is going. At number 1, artist. Yes, you heard me. The artists beat telemarketers. Yes! Now that just baffles me. Okay, so this is an obnoxious list to begin with, but this is kind of the age of information that we live in. It's all about provoking people, less about informing people. In any case, let's face it, the majority of people in any country looks down on artists. And these are the same people that watch movies, play video games, listen to music, read books, and consume copious amounts of porn every day. And by the way, these are all art forms, of course. So I'm forced once again, to talk about how artists tend to be underpaid for the work that they do. Most are freelancers who will never see a pension and who are destined to be exposed to a day-to-day stress whereby they depend on non-fixed income based on commissions, often not even bound by contracts. Just today, I found out that freelance workers within the film and television sector, some of them anyways, in Britain, cannot apply for UK government funding schemes, and I'm not surprised, therefore, that this is a country that voted Brexit. Can you imagine a world without art? If you can, it most likely would entail being sucked into a black hole for all eternity, which is probably what hell is like if you're into that sort of thing. Essentially, I just made myself laugh. Essentially, I also believe that people generally think that art is a guy wearing a stripy shirt and a beret with a curly mustache, a glass of wine in one hand and a paintbrush in another, and he paints a landscape portrait every now and again, or worse, draws a couple of lines and calls it art. And that's probably what the people who put this list together think of when they hear the word artist. And you want to know how I know it? I'm not kidding when I say this, but the artist they hired to make the illustrations for this list was obviously hired to illustrate each of the jobs that were listed. And when it came to the artist, it's exactly like the caricature of the artist that I just described. Although I must admit that it looks more like Mario than Salvador Dali. Again, this newspaper was published in Singapore, but it doesn't matter, as since then the list has gone viral and many of the people who have shared it have actually expressed their disgust and outraged over it. But listen, the way I see it, if they were to ask the very same question in any other country in the world, with the possible exception of France, although I'm not so sure anymore, I don't think that the list wouldn't point out the same results. Not the exact same results, but you can be sure that artists would top the list of non-essential workers in a pandemic. And yet, when we were in lockdown, we were all escaping into art in one way or another. Whether we were binging on Netflix or listening to music and Spotify, it's all art. Anyways, my hopes of the quarantine shining a light on the importance of art have been shattered once again. But this has really been the destiny of art since the Industrial Revolution. The way I see it, the majority of people don't think twice about snubbing art simply because they don't have a single clue about what art is. So it's an educational, it's a cultural problem. The question is, who do we blame for that? Hell, I don't have the answers for that, man. I'm ignorant. I don't know anything. But if you'd like to share your thoughts, get in touch with me at inartemat@gmail.com. And if you send me a voice message, I'll consider including it on an upcoming episode of The Art Movement, which I repeat is a radio show about the arts and culture where all art forms and free thoughts are allowed. And I must admit, speaking of thoughts, I appreciate the provocation that this list caused. So whoever made the list, I think I may salute you as well and speak your name if I knew it.